There we go. Okay, come to a comfortable seat. And as you take your comfortable seat, move a little side to side. Give yourself that chance to shift your sitting bones. And then come to a little bit of stillness, feeling the connection that you have right here, right now, with whatever you're sitting on. And then start to lengthen even more. Think of lifting up with the entire rib cage, drawing shoulder blades onto your back, lengthening the back of your neck. And then as you let your eyes close and start to tune into your breath, breath gets to be your tool this morning to help yourself notice this present moment. And as you notice this present moment, you get to notice any mind chatter. You get to notice how your breath is moving and any sensations that are showing up for you in your body. And then bring a little more focus to the breath, sending it a little bit deeper, making it a little bit longer. As you allow your exhales to be even longer than your inhales now, pressing the breath out just a little further. Allow your inhales to happen naturally. And go through this breath a couple of times where your exhales get pressed out just a little bit more. Your inhales come back into you to a natural and comfortable place. Then releasing this breath, releasing this focus, and just come back to a natural inhale and exhale. And notice any sensations or experiences from that breath. And as you exhale, bow towards your heart, honoring yourself for taking this time to tune in this morning. And then softly opening your eyes, release your hands down, lift your gaze, and start to gently move a little bit through the shoulders, through the head and the neck. And then if you're rolling your shoulders back, now maybe roll them forward, switching directions. And then let your shoulders lift up and back, walk your hands out to your knees, and do a couple of gentle twists on each side, letting your right shoulder come forward, your left shoulder move back, and then you inhale back to center, and exhale, left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. A couple of times on each side, starting to move that awareness down a little further into your body. And then inhale back into center and switch the cross of your legs, letting yourself come to the less comfortable cross for yourself if you're sitting cross-legged. If you're not, that's okay. Stay just as you are. But shift your sitting bones, that reconnection of being in this moment now. And let your hands come all the way up to your hip creases and press down. Find that length through your sides, shoulder blades, move on to your back, lengthen the back of your neck. And now reaching long out to the sides with your arms, palms forward, and plug in with your shoulder blades. Reach further through your fingertips. We're gonna hold our arms up for a little bit, not a super long time, but just enough to start to create some awareness of fatigue. Sometimes that fatigue really helps us to tune into what's happening when we create an opportunity of awareness. So as you hold your arms up, notice where it is that maybe they start to want to dip down. Notice maybe where your head wants to dip down. And reconnect. Lengthen again through the back of the neck. Reach further through fingertips. Plug in with shoulder blades. And now even more so, move your arms a little further back in space. So maybe you feel your shoulder blades engage more. Take one more big breath right here. And then wrap left arm over your right, come into a hug. Walk your fingertips towards your shoulder blades and lift up with your elbows. Draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Think of tops of shoulder blades broadening. And from this place, take a couple side to side movements. So you can think of lengthening hip to armpit on one side, hip to armpit on the other side. And notice anything that's showing up for you through your back, through your hips, whatever's there. Just make a mental note. And then back into center, inhale, lift up with the ribs and the elbows. Exhale, round in. So you're creating a cat-like pose in the upper back. Chin tucks in. And with this, just like we do sometimes in a few other poses, add a little bit of movement here through the shoulders. Take a couple big breaths into maybe some of the lats. Maybe more of the low back muscles. Then inhale, rise back up and reach your arms out long. And pause, reach further, plug in with shoulder blades, lengthen the back of your neck, open further with your arms. Good, and then wrap right arm over the left, coming to hugs on the other side. Really doesn't matter if you did the exact sides that I just did. Just take the opposite. Lift elbows up. Draw shoulder blades onto your back. And then from this place, instead of those side-to-side movements, we're going to think about lifting up with our rib cage, as if you had hands underneath your ribs, picking them up. So a little shimmy here to lift with the ribs. Then exhale, round in, tap your chin in. Take a full, big, deep breath. Notice that space in between your shoulder blades. And even notice along the spine all the way down to your hips. Then inhale, rise back up, release the arms, bring your hands out to your knees. Just take a gentle, slow movement in a cat-cow this time. Exhaling to press back. Inhaling to draw your belly and heart forward. A couple more big breaths. And then inhale, sit tall. We're going to shift forward onto hands and knees now. And as you shift forward, you need to take off socks, feel free. But set yourself up, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And evenly spread your fingertips. Press down with palms and fingertips. And make sure that you have wrist creases parallel to the front of your mat. Not all hands or wrists are the same. For me, that means that my first finger turns more forward than my middle finger. So just notice what that is for you. Rotate elbow pits forward and push again. Tuck toes under, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog pose. And then take a moment here to find whatever movement and shifting feels good in the body. So that might be a little slow pedaling or bending both knees, or it could be rising to tiptoes, whatever your body needs. It's your opportunity to be aware of maybe where the stiffness is, or places where you worked hard this weekend, maybe your garden. Notice what you need to stretch. And then make your way forward, taking as many steps as you need, or you can use blocks to help you get there, putting it to forward fold at the front of your mat. Inhale and lengthen part way, long spine. Exhale and fold over your legs. Hands to hips. Keep that little bend to your knees. It helps us keep our joints unlocked. Lift up through shoulders and elbows and rise. All the way up to stand, nice and open through the chest when you get there. So now we're going to come to a wide stance on our mats and do a little bit of working into some hips and leg stuff. You can make sure that you have blocks handy if you have them, or whatever you're using for blocks, but take your wide stance on your mat. And again, you might have to turn sideways. I have two mats, so I get to just switch which one I'm using. So notice the outsides of your feet and turn your feet parallel, pinky toe edges parallel to each other. And then lift and spread your toes and think of pushing down through the pinky toe edges and lifting up through the inner arch. And then set your toes down and just notice if there's any sensation there. For me, that's a lot of outer shin sensation and calf sensation. Maybe different for you. Hands to your hips, a little bend to your knees, and with that bend to your knees, lift your chest, lift your heart, open up through your heart space here. And now, keep your knees soft as you exhale, hinge from the hips and fold, and put your hands up on something if you'd like. We're going to keep our hearts lifted instead of folding all the way over for now. But now bend one knee at a time. Again, working through any leg stuff that might be happening, but ultimately this is already starting to get into the hips and the low back. So as you bend one knee at a time, start to feel what is happening in the hips, whether or not you have that movability to tilt your sitting bones up. One more time on each side here. And then we're going to come back to a neutral place with a little bend to the knees. Hands work up to the hips. Lift your chest, shoulders, elbows, and rise. Now turn right foot out and bend into your right knee and come to that stacked place. Think of your knee actually moving a little bit toward the arch. Lift your ribs, your chest, your heart. Open the knee up. Reach your arms for a moment. We're not going to be here for long. It's the first one of the day. Take a deep breath. Then hands to your hips, work your front leg or your right leg towards straight, and then pivot. Turn your foot back to facing forward, and then turn your left foot out. Bend into your left knee. And again, we're going beyond the ankle, just a little bit toward the arch, where we start to work a little bit more of that flexion of the foot. Reach the arms, open the knee up, take a big breath. Hands to hips. Work your left leg towards straight. Pivot again, turn feet to parallel. Turn your right foot out. Bend into your right knee. Elbow to your knee. Top arm up and over the ear or straight up, whichever feels the best. Turn open with your knee. Turn your belly and your heart more open. Deep, full, big breath. Then inhale, rise back up. Turn your feet to parallel and turn your left foot out. Bend into your left knee, elbow to your knee. And again, top arm up and over the ear or straight up, or maybe keep your hand at your hip. But bend deeper and turn toward the pinky toe edge with your knee. Open up with your heart. One more big breath. Then inhale, rise all the way back up. Turn your feet parallel. And now triangle pose on each side. Turn your right foot out. You might have a block on the inside or the outside of your leg, or you might use your leg. Okay, so from here, hands at your hips, shift your hips back so you're creating this hip crease in the right leg. Turn your knee toward the pinky toe edge, and then extend your heart to the right. From this place, maybe you set your hand down. Maybe you bring your right hand up above the knee. You can set it on your shin. I just want you to avoid pushing the shin back, okay? Turn your belly and your heart. Maybe stretch up. Take a big deep breath. And then push through the legs to rise all the way back up. Turn your feet to parallel, turn your left foot out. Same thing, hip crease, shift your hips to make that space in the hip, and then extend your heart. And again, you might have block on the inside or the outside of your leg. You might have your hand on your shin or your thigh. And where it feels the best to you to be able to keep your knee turning toward the pinky toe edge and your heart turning open. Deep, full breath, maybe stretch up. Push through your feet and rise all the way back up. Turn your feet to parallel, and now we're gonna give our legs a little break. Walk your feet in and shake them out. Sometimes that wide stance gets fatiguing, right? Sometimes. Okay, so now with feet inner hip distance apart and parallel, lift and spread your toes, and then root them down. Take your hands to your heart. Close your eyes, take a full, big, deep breath. And now shift your weight over to your left leg, and you're gonna pull your right knee up towards your chest, hand to your shin. You're gonna slide your hand down your shin. You can do this without holding your foot, but you're gonna take your foot behind you. Okay, so you might just do this balancing on one leg, bend the knee. So you're going through this for the thigh stretch here. So wherever that is for you, you can also be at a wall if you would like. Even out your thighs. Try to make them parallel to each other. Yeah. And as you do that, as you make them parallel to each other, start to push more into your standing foot. And then squeeze your standing glute to help you lift your right hip up a little bit. Engage your right toes, reach through your right thigh. Lift your chest. Take another full breath, maybe stretch up here. And gently release your foot. And come to balance onto the right leg. And as you bend your left knee into your chest, if you're gonna hold the foot, then slide your hand down your shin to your foot. And then bringing it behind you, even out your thighs. As you even out your thighs, push from your glute down into the standing foot. So much that maybe your left hip lifts a little. And then if you want to, you can stretch up. Take a full, big, deep breath. I like to think of opposites here. Think of left knee and thigh reaching away from your right shoulder reaching away from your left knee and thigh. Yeah, good. Go ahead and gently release. Foot down to the ground. Feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. Lift and spread your toes and then root them down. Inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold. You might have blocks under your hands. Take a big, deep breath. Inhale, lengthen part way. Send sitting bones up. Extend your heart. And exhale, fold once again. And now planting hands, step all the way back into a downward facing dog pose and take a full breath. And you can do this from hands and knees if you want. And so inhale, lift up with your right leg, a three-legged dog. So if you want to, hands and knees, lift your right leg and turn open with your hip. Bend your knee, press your heel toward the left side, even out with your shoulders, especially if you're in your down dog. Make sure that the left shoulder is not tipping down. But now, reach through your thigh. Engage the low belly. Take one more big breath. And exhale, both feet come to the ground. Inhale, lift up with your left leg. Turn open with the hip. Bend your knee, press your heel toward the right side, and even out your shoulders. Deep breath. Reach through the thigh. Engage the low belly. And exhale, foot to the ground. And now knees down, hips to heels, take a child's pose. And take a moment here to take a full, deep inhale and exhale. And now gently press yourself up to your seat. And come all the way down onto sitting bones. And now we're going to take a modified forward fold. And we'll take a wide and a narrow one. First, a more narrow one, and that can be narrow, meaning a little narrower than your mat. It can be narrow, meaning hip distance, whatever feels the best in your body. But the first thing we're going to do is walk our feet in. So you have a knees bent place here. Shift your sitting bones back, and then press down with fingertips. Lift your heart up high. And as you pull your toes back into a good flexion here, walk your way forward with your hands, maybe down your legs or maybe down the floor towards your feet. Doesn't have to be to your feet, but maybe it is to your feet. Your shins, whatever that feels like for you. Think of tilting your belly more towards your legs. Take a full big deep breath. And if you feel like you have a little bit more space here through the hamstrings and hips and low back, maybe you walk your feet out a little ways. Take a big deep breath. Retilt your pelvis so your belly's coming forward and lengthen through your front. Think of your front ribs and your collarbones trying to reach out beyond your toes. Now, after your next couple of breaths, one more time, if you feel like it's there for you, maybe work your legs a little bit straighter. And now inhale, gently rise up. Think of lifting up with your heart space. And now take your legs wide. If you want to turn sideways so that your heels can be on your mat, you can do that. Again, I have 2 mats, so feel free to make that comfortable for yourself. As you take your legs wide, we spent a little time in this in a standing position. Just notice for yourself how it feels. It doesn't have to feel super comfortable. This one's never comfortable for me. And so we get to work with the puzzle that is. Adjust the sitting bones, and then press down with the heels. Think of aiming the toes straight up. Notice if they want to turn out or in, and try for straight up. Press the heels down and think about drawing them back toward you so that your knees might lift a little bit. Press fingertips down beside you. Lift up with your heart space, long through your spine. And notice that tilt of your belly forward. And if that's not happening, maybe grab your blanket to sit on, okay? From this place, if staying long through your spine and not rounding from the back can happen, then maybe walk your hands a little bit forward. And again, I'll just reemphasize, this is one of the poses that has been a consistent lifelong work for me because it's not a comfortable pose. We all have those, right? That's our opportunity to come to a little bit greater awareness when we come into some of these poses that are more challenging. Yeah. So inhale, lengthen again. Exhale, if it's in your practice, if your back body is saying, sure, we can do this, we can stay nice and long, then maybe walk a little further out. But then notice, for me, this set of toes tends to turn in, so I get to rotate my legs so my toes are more upright. Take full deep breaths. You might even be saying, Dawn, this pose is easy. Inhale, rise all the way back up. And then use your hands underneath your knees to support you to bring your feet back in. Short counter pose here, feet together in a butterfly. This is just a nice way to take that opening through the inner thighs and take the hamstrings out of the equation a little bit. But if you are experiencing some hamstrings, just take that information in. Tilt your belly forward. So again, if being up on something helps, then by all means, sit up on something. And then if it's in your practice, you'll fold a little forward. And take 2 more full deep breaths right here. And inhale, rise back up. Footprints to the ground. Make sure that you can reach all of your props as you come to lay all the way down. As you lay down, footprints to the floor, drop knees in together to touch, reach your arms overhead. This is a really nice, gentle way of checking out your hips. So go ahead and find a little bit of movement forward and back, side to side, And just check out the movability. Not for judgment, but to take in the information. So you just have an idea of how things are going for you right now. And then right knee into your chest, give it a squeeze. And then cross right ankle over the left knee and draw your legs up towards your body as close as you need. That can always be keeping your left foot on the ground. So wherever that is, give your feet some action, a little flex, toes pull back towards your knee, and then a little rock side to side with your hips. And you can do that too with your foot on the ground. Both ways, we're trying to allow the low back to lengthen a little bit. And then set left foot on the ground and right foot on the ground. And then draw left knee in towards your chest, give a squeeze. And take left ankle over the right knee. And again, legs draw in as close as is right for your body. No right or wrong answer there. Just what it is on this side, because we all know we're not symmetrical. And sometimes that's especially through the hips. So again, a little rock side to side, lengthening the back body all the way down at the sacrum. And then go ahead and release both feet to the ground and begin to make your way into your most comfortable resting pose, whatever that looks like for you. That could be propped. That could be just reclining all the way out against the ground. That could be sitting up into a seated meditation. Come to your pose and take the first couple of breaths to shift a little. Move until it's comfortable. And then give yourself permission to come to stillness. Begin to take a deeper breath. Let gentle movement happen, fingers and toes, maybe some movement at the hips or the head. Then as you're ready to bend your knees and roll to your side. And slowly, gently press yourself back up to your seat. And with hands coming to heart center, eyes closing, take a couple big breaths, tuning into what's present for you now. Have a very peaceful, very beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.